Hello, everybody.
Hey, how y'all doing? I'm Tony.
I'm Guy.
And you're welcome. Hey, welcome you guys to the Manly Way.
The Manly Way.
Yes.
Yep. It's Wednesday. We missed a couple days.
Yes. Life happens.
Yep.
Unfortunately,
Life
it just
does
happens.
happen.
But
Yep. So we're here now.
we're here now, right?
Yep.
All right.
And we're back with more questions.
Cool.
And I have the paper, so Tony has to answer more. Yeah. Well, I told a lot of stories the last time we were on, so
we have so many stories, don't we?
we have.
We haven't even touched. I mean,
Yeah,
the
I know.
tip of the iceberg.
We've got stories. Okay, little update. I'll just give you a quick update on my saga with exercise. So, I'm doing really well. I have I've been in touch quite a bit with Denton, my trainer, and my nephew. And I'm meeting or exceeding my goals.
I'm impressed.
So
This guy.
I'm keeping up with it. It's going really well. I'm getting in shape, losing weight, yada yada yada. It's happening.
Yes, it is.
So
I noticed it on the job site. He's like got this extra skip in his step.
yeah, got a bounce in my step.
Got to bounce.
It really does. It really
Kind of
helps.
hard to pack lumber with him now.
Nah.
No. Okay.
Okay. So. Okay,
All right,
so
what do we
ask.
got here?
We're gonna ask some more food questions.
Food questions.
Food questions. Tony.
Tony.
Tony, do you remember your lunchbox when you were in school? So, okay, this is back in the Stone Age. So your lunchbox was...
Lunchbox. No,
Yeah.
I don't, but I bet you do. I think it was paper sack or some.
Well, we did have paper sacks.
Yeah, but
I remember that too.
Did you have an actual box though?
You remember the old metal box? Okay, some of you probably don't remember the old, but the retro...
I loved those. Didn't have one, but I thought they were cool.
The metal box.
Yes.
So I think, if I remember correctly, I think I had a few of them, but the one I remember was an Evel Knievel
Ooh.
lunch pail.
That's probably worth money now.
Oh, if I had it,
Wow.
it would be.
Evel Knievel.
Yep, and the little thermos that went with it.
You even had the little thermos.
Yeah, and they were the kind of thermos that was...
I know this guy.
They had glass inside, so if you dropped it really hard, they would just all shatter.
All shattered.
Yep. So that's what I remember.
Well, that was pretty cool. So you were... Did you have like a group of people sitting around you because you had one? No.
Because they had cool ones too.
They did?
Yeah.
But Evel Knievel.
But back then, they were kind of common.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
how about your book bag? You didn't carry books.
No. Books.
Books
were they were just used to prop things up.
Books.
Right?
We don't need no
We don't
stinking
need
books.
no books.
Yeah. It's just school.
Yeah. No, there was no book bag.
Okay. Do you
right.
have any strong visual memories of eating lunch at school?
Strong visual memories. What about you? I think mine. Really, there's nothing that jumps out to me except it was a frenzy. I just remember it was one of those things. As I tune in now, everybody had kind of their little group, that they hung out with, right? So that was lunchtime, was a place to get together, and just food was splattering all over the place. And there's always a couple of kids shooting some stuff across the lunch hall. But no, I think it was just a place that I just remember it was a break from the books, and it was food. I mean, at that age, for a long time, I was just wanted to eat.
Yeah, I remember one kid. His name was Justin Watson, and he was training to be a football star.
Oh wow!
And he would bring his lunch from school every day.
Yeah.
And he had like mondo. I mean, he was lifting a lot of weight when he was young,
Really?
in high school, and he would bring this massive lunch, and he would eat calories, and they were good calories even back then. And he would just like massive amounts of food, and I just remember going, because we always had like our pizza for lunch or whatever, and
Right.
here's Justin just like, and muscles rippling, and he's just eating. I know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I remember that, and then the wrestler kids not eating anything.
That was where we were like, but it was like impossible. There's like times you just had to eat, right?
Yeah.
Because for me, I lived so far out of town that if I didn't eat anything then, I mean, it was hours before we, have dinner just because
Sure.
it was travel so far.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So, I mean, but most of it, at least I was. If I could eat as much as I could and still couldn't put on weight,
Yeah,
it was easy to lose it, but just couldn't put it on.
yeah. And then you turn 50,
Yes.
and then
Then you have to pay
Yep.
attention
Yep.
because it wants to stay with you.
yes. Do you have any rules for your kids about what goes in their lunches?
Oh yeah, Ours was one because my oldest had so there's certain issues certain foods that she could eat and certain foods she was allergic to.
Okay.
So we had to be very careful with that, and then it was just kind of like the pickiness of it and all of that stuff. But yeah, my wife turned me on. That's where she helped steer this mind of mine towards looking at food as something more than just to fill you. Like to me, food is just filler, and she actually showed me that there's actually nutrition in it, that it
Yeah.
actually helps your body.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Same for you.
Well,
When did you kind of come into that scene?
well, it really switched. A lot of it switched when, of course, my daughter
Right.
was diagnosed type 1 diabetic.
Yep.
And
That's
type
big
1 and type
changes.
2 are totally different.
Mm-hmm.
So type 1 diabetic, your pancreas just doesn't work anymore and doesn't give you insulin, and so you have to watch every carbohydrate that you put in your body and what foods have more carbohydrate than
Right.
others. Some of them are better, and so all of a sudden you're not thinking about food so much, and then all of a sudden that's all you think about
Right.
is food, nutrition.
Right.
You look at every label you possibly can, and how can I feed my daughter correctly with what? And so, yes,
And that's very challenging because for us with our daughter, we're good meaning people. You will go over to visit their place or there's a function going on, and it's always that awkward thing when you bring your food to a function,
Yeah.
to a food function, right? So we learned that, and it was always hard because some people get offended
yeah,
that you'd bring it, and they couldn't quite grab onto the fact of how food can really affect the body in the wrong way if you eat the wrong stuff.
Yeah.
So there were those hurdles we kind of worked our way through, but it helped me because that's really where I gained a lot of my understanding of nutrition.
yeah. And I think it's just a process. I mean, it's a learning process. But
Oh, absolutely.
when your kid actually gets sick from food, you have to change. You
Yeah.
just have to.
Yeah.
It's just you adapt.
Exactly. Especially
And-
since we live in a society where there's just so much processed food.
Yes.
That's why we can have food
Yeah.
on a shelf for a long time. That's why
Yeah.
we have massive amounts of it because we can afford it to put on the shelf
I
and sit
agree.
for one, right?
I agree. And most of it is not that good for you.
Right. And it's amazing. I never used to look at ingredients.
No.
I look
No.
at it all the time now.
Yeah. But the food that
Or the
is
what makes up the
cheaper
product.
and easier and can last longer is probably not that good for you.
I know.
So,
I know.
it's a trade-off.
Yep. Fresh is always something that's hard to beat. So what else we got here?
Do your kids help you shop for groceries?
Oh.
Okay, for you,
Yes.
did your kids help you
Yes,
shop?
absolutely. We'd have, because we'd get little, whenever we're going through the aisle, they would know certain things we're getting. So we say, grab this, grab that. And so they were actually helping.
Yeah.
And
So they went to the store with
They
you.
went to the store with us, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that worked really well because also I think it's a good place because they're
Excuse
interacting
me.
with a bunch of people that
Yep.
are around them. They're kind of getting used to being in those places. Some
Yeah.
people have a hard time with it. I think it's a great place for kids to look at. And then what we were actually teaching them is to actually turn the box or whatever it might be that you're getting, turn it around to see what's making up this product.
Okay, so here's the issue.
Yes.
Some people will have a hard time with that because they cannot control their children.
That's a whole nother topic we're going to talk on.
Okay, but
Yes.
I'm just saying that some people go,
Yes.
I don't want to take my kids to the grocery store because they're monsters.
Well, what's your just quick suggestion before we'll actually cover it later, but what would you sum it up in just a few words if you could?
If your child is a monster at the grocery store, it is a learned behavior.
Yes.
and it's something that you need to deal with, not in the grocery store, and it does deal with other issues, but it's really a discipline issue, and it has nothing to do with the grocery store. It has to do with your relationship
Yes.
with your child, and if you have the proper relationship, parent-child relationship, they really shouldn't be.
Right.
There shouldn't be an issue in the grocery store.
And if you ever notice this here, here's a little side note of that, a little bit of information. You'll notice that you might have your child will act great in every situation, but then you'll go into a store, and if they can't have that one item, then
Yep.
they just. But you know what? That's a great teaching moment, because I mean I remember times where we'd stop right there, take the child. Well, we'd say, okay, now we're gonna go out to the car. Go out to the car. We'd have our corrective motive, then we'd come back in and continue shopping.
Yep. Or if it's really bad, you just leave the store.
Or you just leave the store. If it's that bad, you
Yeah.
leave the store.
Yep. You just say, well, it's, you know what? We have to leave, and we have to do this at another time.
Yep.
And you have to deal with your child then.
And it's not a bad. I think there's two things. One is embarrassment. They'll just
Yep.
give somebody because they don't want the kid. And the other
Yep.
two is I think what for me was like the inconvenience. I'm like, oh, I don't want to leave. I got to get shopping to get this done. And so you just kind of find that place
But-
where you go, no.
But you have to
No.
ask yourself,
Yeah.
what's more
important?
What's more important than my child?
Yep.
Actually parenting my child is the most important thing.
Yes, it is.
And there's no better time than right now to deal with my child.
And you know what? And it's a great thing because so what if people are watching? There's always going to be a couple that just say stupid
Yeah.
things, but for the most part, others are going to be like, you know what? That is great. Thank
Yeah.
you for doing the right
Exactly.
thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I agree completely. That's just the way it has to
Yeah.
be. So for me, yes, my kids do, and so my daughter now is a teenager, and we hit a few stores, and then we have to hit Costco, and she says, "Dad, can I stay in the car? I don't want to go to Costco." And I say, "No, you have to come with me, and
Right.
we're going to do this together, and it's going to be faster because you're going to help me."
Right.
And no, that's not a discussion. We're just going to do it together.
Yep.
And you know what? There's no more argument. She's like, "Okay, I'll do
Yeah.
it." And she goes
It's
in.
great.
And you know what? We end
It's
up
great.
having a good time, and
Yep.
we just make it fun. And it is quicker when she helps me.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, totally.
Because she is good help.
For us, it was always
Did you ride the bus to school?
Yes, I did. My
Oh,
predominantly.
wait. And then it says, what was it like?
Well, see, mine was kind of unique. Where we lived, it was about 9 or 10 miles out of town.
Uh-huh.
And also where I lived, there was the route, which was highly unusual. They call it the outer, the
Upper outer?
the canyon run is what they called it.
The canyon.
And
run.
so what it was is that they
By
made
the
this
way, he
huge-
lives in
Up in the-
northwestern Montana.
northwestern Montana.
So the snow was like 8 feet deep most of the year.
It was, and everything's uphill. Right?
No kidding.
Yeah.
No kidding. It's like really,
Yes, they get
really.
lots of snow up
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
But so we had this route. It was like I think it was probably about a 40-mile route
Yeah.
that went up, and made this huge loop, and come around and picked us up. We
40
were
miles.
always- It was
You
a
said 40.
huge loop, and so it went through
Whoa.
these 3 towns, and these 3 particular towns
Dude,
were
you,
known for tough. They were tough,
okay.
and we were always the last stop. We were the last.
So you
ones
had to
get
go
off
40 miles to
Yes.
get 10 miles?
to get 10 miles.
Holy cow.
Yes, it was crazy, and most of it was gravel road and stuff. But it was the particular route that reached out
Wow.
to all of the kids in these neighboring towns that would bus them in, and we were part of it. And we were the last. What I hated was we were the last ones to get on. So that if you ever ridden on a bus, you'll know what I'm talking about. Last one on, you got the worst seats.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
And then we were the last ones to get off. It's not like they went back around the circle the opposite direction. So we were the last. So we had to ride that full. It took like an hour to get all the way
Oh
around.
my gosh.
And dropped off. So it was.
Do you ever get car sick riding in that bus, just bouncing around?
No, I don't think that part never really bothered me, but it was just there was just the different personalities around that bus, and I was the oldest, so I had to watch over for my brothers and sister, and
Oh yeah, okay.
you know all
yeah,
that stuff that
yeah,
goes with
yeah,
it. But
yeah.
predominantly, it was just there was a lot of personalities on that bus that I did not like.
Sure.
But that's just part of riding on the bus.
Yeah.
I mean, anybody's done it.
Yeah.
But to be on the bus that long, it was just
That's a long time.
that's a long time.
Well,
and so
yeah.
I don't have great memories of that.
Yeah. I rode the bus, but it was not that long. It was like maybe 15 minutes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we just went from our subdivision down. But then we would get snowed into, and Dad would have to take us through the field, and, you know, he would take us sometimes. There'd be snowmobile trips every once in a while.
Yeah, that's
You know.
nice. Yeah. There's no snowmobile that had enough tank large enough with fuel to make it to town.
That's amazing. That's crazy. Yeah.
So I don't know what you guys got up there about bus stories, but I mean,
Yeah,
there's-
that'd be awesome to hear
There's
hear a bus
I remember
story.
a bus story coming off the bus, me tangled up with this guy and smashing up against the high school front glass.
Wow.
Yeah, he was just, you know, sometimes you take it to, you can take only so much, and then it's finally like, all right, I'm done with this. But then from that on, it seemed like from that point on, nobody really
Messed with you.
messed with us. It was just kind of,
Tony the Scrapper.
it was
Tony
just
the Tiger.
one of those things. But it was good. It wasn't bad. No one got hurt, right? Just more feel.
So let me
more
ask you another
pride.
question. Wait, do your kids ride the bus, or did they? Your kids were homeschooled.
Yeah, they were homeschooled. They did.
So
had a
they
couple-
rode the bus.
They had it's called the minivan. The minivan
My
bus.
kids rode the bus to homeschool.
Right. So it was the minivan bus up to the library or all the different events. But yeah, no, they had a couple years of school, private school, and Christian school, and they loved it. But that was a transition time. Again, part of that transition time
Uh-huh.
where I was beginning to look at the kids a little bit more, because we had different spurts of times where I was involved with the girls more than Suzanne
Yep.
was.
Yep.
Which is why we're here, which is kind of help
Yep.
anyone out there that has those questions with us.
So my kids rode the bus in Three Forks, Montana, and then also in
do they actually have forks there, or what is it?
No.
Why is it called Three
It's called
Forks?
Three Forks. It's where three
Rivers come
to
together.
one.
Oh, the
So-
headwaters of Missouri, right?
Headwaters of the Missouri.
Okay.
And then they also rode the bus in St. Louis, Missouri, and oh my goodness, totally
different?
worlds. Oh,
I bet.
they hated the bus in St. Louis. It was crazy. Yeah, they were not happy with the busing in Missouri.
Yeah.
It was wildness. They learned words they didn't even know existed.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do your kids play sports? Do you? So, did your kids play sports, Tony?
They actually danced. They were in Irish dance class. Have you ever witnessed saw one of those actually Irish dance?
I have.
Wow.
I have.
What a workout on the legs and jumping and dancing and oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah. I've never seen anybody that I knew doing it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So the girls, they pursued dance. We had them in other things because we had them it was kind of like you had to at least try it,
Yep.
right?
Yeah. Like
So-
a no thank you
Yep,
bite,
like a no thank you
but
bite.
but in sports.
But in sports,
Yep.
and dance was something they really enjoyed.
Yeah.
So I remember this. There was like traveling around, and there was different. There was something right here in Bozeman, Montana, where they were part of it, but they were able to travel to different places and dance and,
Uh-huh.
and perform. But yeah, it was great because it gave them opportunity to get in front of public. You know, that's part of it. Is just kind of getting up in front of people
Yep.
and doing something. Whether it's whether you're playing football, basketball, dancing, whatever
Sure.
it is, it was
Sure.
good for them. And would I do it again? Absolutely. I think it was great.
So, did you play sports?
Wrestled.
You wrestled.
Wrestled and some baseball. Baseball when I was very young and wrestling a little bit older.
Okay.
And I think I liked the idea of like an individual sport like that in wrestling. And we just had a cool shop teacher too. He was just the coolest. And so he was the one that kind of convinced me to join. My brother was always like,
Yeah.
he was naturally a wrestler. I was more, I kind of joined in because I was part of the, he was my brother and everything.
So now,
It was
now if you would have been younger now, do you think you'd have tried some MMA stuff?
Well, I don't know about that. There were sometimes wrestling some of these kids, it felt like it was,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because there was, literally there was.
But kids that are wrestling now, they kind of cross over into MMA
They do.
pretty easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. I
I don't know.
don't know.
I don't know. So, my kids. So my wife was an artist. That the day I met her, I knew that she was an artist. That's all she'd ever been. Sports was not her gig, and my kids kind of followed her. They've not really athletic, and so my daughter, she's done more theater stuff. My son has done a little bit of taekwondo and things like that, but not really. No, not a lot of sports. But personally, I was way into sports. Baseball when I was younger. Then I got into basketball, football, golf. Yeah, just any kind of sport. Sports was my gig.
You just love sports.
I love sports.
I
Yep.
never, and that's an interesting thing too, is when you're not introduced to it. Like my dad, just was never into any kind of sports. His sports were fixing up some kind of motorized motorcycles,
Yeah,
snowmobiles, boats, water. Like I water skied
Yeah.
so many years. So I got to know water skiing very well.
Yeah, that's funny because I want to water ski, and I've never water skied.
You've never, with all the sports you've done.
All the sports, and I would
Wow.
love to water ski.
Oh, yeah.
And that's one thing. I even had a boat at one time.
Wow.
I bought a boat, and then, well, I couldn't get it to run because I wasn't mechanically inclined like you were.
Yeah.
Hi, Lisa. And
So for you, like for us, we were like with Dad. Like I said, he'd fix up snowmobiles.
Yeah.
We had boats. He would fix up boats. He was a mechanic, so
Yeah.
all these motorizing. So in his mind, that was sports. So anything else associated with that, like I've only been to a few games, college and
Yeah. Yeah.
minor league as
Yeah.
far as baseball and a couple of football and basketball. But that's
he was
minor.
So Tony was telling me today that he went to a San Antonio Spurs basketball game when he was in the Air Force. San Antonio Spurs were actually playing the Boston Celtics, and he didn't realize that he was watching Larry Bird play. He watched Larry Bird
Right?
play basketball, and he didn't even know who he was
No, I
watching.
just remember the crowd really cheering a lot, and I'm
I was like, "You watched Larry Bird play basketball? Oh my gosh!" And he's
I'm
like,
like,
"Yeah,
yeah.
And I'm like,
Eh.
"Oh."
I'm part of basic training, so it's like we have to do this. So
I'm like, "You have to do it." Oh my gosh.
right? So later on, I kind of put two and two together. This was after the military when I hooked up with some friends of mine in the military who are like major sports fans,
Yeah.
and they were bummed because their particular flight and they weren't part of that. For some reason, it was I think
Dude.
some special promotion thing that we had because I don't know what it was. We won something,
Dude.
which gave us the time to go out.
He
and
was
watch
watching Larry Bird. And he
Yeah.
he didn't get it.
right? I was just like, wow, all right, we're cheering. I don't even know why we're cheering, but this is cool.
Dude.
Yeah, especially when they all come out when they initially come out on the floor, and the crowd just went nuts.
Because it was Larry Bird. It was Larry Bird. And he
Yes.
watched him live.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Amazing. And it was an amazing thing because it was just like basically anyone with the Air Force in my flight they were just going crazy, and I'm looking at them and going, why are you guys acting like idiots, right? This is just a bunch
Yeah.
of guys playing basketball,
No.
No.
It was Larry Bird.
right? Wow.
Well, anyhow.
Anyhow.
So we finished our questions on that sheet, and we
Yep.
will We will we'll grab some more
Yep.
questions from you.
I'm loving this. I'm
Yeah.
loving this because, and actually, I'll be looking forward for some stories from you all
Yeah.
back to us.
Send us some stories. Send us
Yes.
some basketball stories. Any kind of stories you have.
Yeah.
Send them our way. If you have any cool, what was your lunchbox when you were growing
There you go.
up?
That's a good question.
Yeah.
That's the
Yeah.
one. That's the one we can conclude.
Evil Knievel was mine. I don't know what yours was. So yeah, send us some anything.
Sounds good to
anything
me.
will be fun.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, we got to go back to work
Yes, we
because
do.
we've got stuff to do.
Yes.
But thanks for watching and see you later, Lisa.
Yeah.
All
Thanks
right.
for tuning in to Manly Way.
Okay, bye.